Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, January 15th, 2014. Another Boeing 787 problem. Japan Airlines announced this morning that it has grounded one of its Boeing 787s after white smoke was spotted streaming out of the battery system in a pre-departure maintenance check. The plane was at Tokyo's Narita Airport preparing to fly to Bangkok. Apparently it was a technical problem relating to battery cell leakage. The passengers were quickly put on another plane and sent on their way to Bangkok, ending up only 7 minutes late in total. Interestingly enough, this grounding of this one particular plane has occurred about 1 year, almost to the day, after the fleet as a whole was grounded because of battery problems. Japan Airline and Boeing are saying that this is a localized incident and one that was quickly repaired. Meanwhile, there was a fairly substantial earthquake about 30 miles east of Los Angeles this morning in Fontana. It was a 4.4. Some residents in San Bernardino and Fontana reported the shaking as being moderate, which is one step below severe. There were no reports of any damage or injuries. Meanwhile, if you're a sports fan and follow tennis in particular, you'll know that the Australian Open is in progress, and the temperature in Sydney is 108 degrees. Of course, it's the middle of the summer there. Lightning strikes in southeastern Australia ignited about 250 wildfires. This is as firefighters were already actively engaged in combating fires elsewhere. The state of Victoria, where Sydney is located, ended up dealing with about 20 new blazes. Another 18 fires were brought under control, but 256 new fires had been started. Last year was Australia's warmest year since records began in 2010, and 2014 has begun with scorching conditions that have already destroyed 50 homes, especially out west in the Perth area. World piracy rates continue to fall. This is according to an international maritime watchdog. They have now fell for the third straight year in 2013, mainly because pirates coming from Somalia have been curbed by international naval patrols and increased vigilance from ships. This is coming from the International Maritime Bureau. They say global pirate attacks have fallen to a 6-year low of 264, down from a high of 439 in 2011. A total of 12 vessels were hijacked with more than 300 crew members taken hostage. One crew member has been killed in this year. Only 15 attacks were reported off Somalia in the Gulf of Aden. This comes down from an all-time high of 237 in that area in 2011. Airline insurance rates have dropped by about 18% last year, according to the insurance broker Lloyd. This is supposedly because of stiff competition between well-capitalized underwriters as well as persistently low claims costs. Airline insurance prices have been falling for the better part of a decade as mounting competition and technology-driven improvements in airplanes and aviation safety have forced underwriters to give back pricing from a one-off increase that occurred after the September 11, 2001 terror attacks. This was a little interesting story, actually. The new Lloyd startup that was started by BMS, Ballantyne McKeon and Sullivan, a broking company, under their wholesale organization, or excuse me, their holding company called Pioneer Underwriting, has been lodged within Liberty Syndicate. Liberty Syndicate, of course, has a couple of boxes at Lloyd's, and what has been created is something called a sub-syndicate structure. It's not been previously used at Lloyd's. It's going to see Liberty warehouse the fledgling business. There are some similarities to a special purpose vehicle, but essentially what it does, it's going to give Pioneer access to Lloyd's business and to the experience of the Lloyd's market ahead of creation of a full syndicate. So it's going to be called Sub-Syndicate 1980. It's going to sit inside of Liberty Syndicate 4472, and the structure is going to see Pioneer Underwriting provide capacity to Liberty via a quota share that will bring in third-party trade capacity. It's going to be doing so as a cover holder. So it's essentially delegated authority business to the sub-syndicates that's lodged within the overall bigger syndicate. Very interesting and novel response from Lloyd's to the onslaught of new capital. I suspect we'll be seeing more of this. Meanwhile, back in Australia, hundreds of commuters coming out of Sydney have been stuck as a result of a train derailment on a commuter line. A large piece of metal pierced through the floor this afternoon in one of the carriages, narrowly missing commuters as the train derailed near Edgecliff Station in the suburbs of Sydney. 700 passengers were left stranded. One passenger said that a metal bar broke through the floor of one of the coaches, quote, like a monster coming up from the floor. Fortunately, no one was injured. Kenya has now been experiencing a little bit of an oil boom, and fresh oil fields were announced there today. This is in the underdeveloped northern part of the country. Could provide a major boost to the country's economy. It was discovered by a British-based company, Tullow Oil, T-U-L-L-O-W. They now estimate that the new fields in the northern part of the country will bring 600 million new barrels of reserves into the Kenya stock. This now puts the total amount that Kenya is believed to have under possible production capacity to about 1 billion barrels. Of course, there remain significant infrastructure problems to reach the oil in the country's northern area, which is a very arid area, and to bring the oil to a place where it can be either offloaded onto a ship or onto a train. That is the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.